Right before my childhood friend's wedding day, her groom ghosted her. She begged me to temporarily fake being the groom to finish the wedding. I was against it, but my dad threatened to disown me, forcing me to agree. It was clearly stated that it was just for show, but in the end, her family latched onto me and wouldn't let go. Li Qingxue got pregnant out of wedlock, and to give the child an official status, she begged me not to reveal the truth for now, waiting until after the child was born to announce the breakup. Since I was still single, I thought it was fine, so I didn't make it public. After all, we hadn't registered the marriage yet. My dad is a high school principal. Her dad used my dad's connections to open a supermarket and a school cafeteria, making some money. In recent years, he followed the trend of real estate speculation. The project got suspended so he couldn't pay his debts. Unexpectedly, he used the status of the principal's in-law to raise funds from many parents. In the end, he ran off with the money. Although after the investigation, it was confirmed that my dad didn't know and didn't participate. The blood, sweat, and tears money of so many people was completely wiped out. My dad's reputation was ruined. Adding to that, the crushing guilt. In his desperation, he jumped off a building and committed suicide. My mom went out of her mind with grief, chased by victims demanding debt payments. She also unfortunately fell from a building and died. I sought justice for my parents, but got into a severe car accident, becoming a vegetable. But everything happening outside, I knew clearly. Although Li Qingxue and I hadn't registered the marriage, nominally, the child was my illegitimate child. Having inheritance rights, everything was taken by her to pay off her family's debts. From the very beginning, this wedding was a setup where the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. When I opened my eyes again, I realized I had been reincarnated, returning to the moment 5 hours before my childhood. Friend's wedding, I switched my phone to airplane mode. I found my backup phone and called my dad. I just rushed back from the capital yesterday, living alone in a lakeside villa near the airport, while my parents lived in the high school teachers' quarters, in the county a 30-minute drive away. Mom, only you are listening, right? I lowered my voice, waiting. What's wrong, Xiaotian? Why are you acting so mysterious? I got word that Li Qingshu's fiance ghosted her last night. This wedding is definitely going down in flames. Didn't dad sprain his back fishing a few days ago? Mom take him to the hospital for a checkup. Thinking about how my dad always favored Li Qingxue, I felt both frustrated and helpless. My mom was only more resentful than I was. Right now, she was utterly gloating. There's really such a thing. Serves them right. I said it from the start, that family's intentions are no good. And the son-in-law they found is trash too. I know what to do. As for you, don't go either. If I don't go, dad will definitely blow his top. Mom, you must keep an eye on him. Don't worry, he won't find out. However, the old house had terrible soundproofing. My dad heard the noise. Whose phone call is that? Is Qingshe rushing us? I told you we should go over and help out early. Help? Help with what? Can you just drop it? If you end up bedridden in the future, don't expect me to serve you. Can you stop causing trouble today of all days? My dad was a high school principal and my mom was a housewife. Before every time they argued, my dad would either stay silent or spout empty morals, while my mom would always scream like crazy, living a second life. I finally understood. Behind my dad's elegant demeanor was cold indifference. Behind my mom's absolute madness was the sign of being pushed to the brink of insanity by prolonged silent treatment. Dad, if you are present at such a humiliating moment, the Lee family will only feel more awkward. Besides, nothing is certain yet, and you're currently sick. If you go there, aren't you afraid they'll blame you for bringing bad luck? I had always highly respected my dad, so this was the first time I ever spoke to him like that. He froze for a moment before letting out a sigh of relief and saying, "Then when you go Xiaotian, remember to lend them a hand." I gave a cold reply and hung up, then drove toward the old district. With one hand on the steering wheel, my eyes grew sharp as my mind raced incredibly fast. Li Qingshu's wedding, I absolutely had to go. But I couldn't just go like that. A name suddenly popped into my head. Lu, the high school beauty, and also the girl I used to have a secret crush on. She was the only girl I could truly talk to. She once had malicious rumors spread about her at school, and I stepped up to clear her name. But somehow we got caught up in dating rumors, so we had to keep our distance. After getting into college, she went south and I went north. The pressure of studying and starting a business was too great. And with me being so socially awkward, we couldn't take things further. Every year, at the school reunion, it was just small talk, living a second life. I don't want to have any more regrets, and I also need to handle the current situation. Today is just a request. Asking so abruptly and directly, I wonder if I'll get beaten up. The call went through. After a few rings, someone picked up. Chenglu, it's Ye Tian. Sorry for bothering you out of the blue, but I have a favor to ask. I tried to keep my tone sounding mature and calm, but in reality, my palms were drenched in sweat from nervousness. What's wrong, all? Fake being my girlfriend? Just for today, is that okay? The other end went silent. My heart was pounding wildly, and just as I was about to explain further, I heard her ask back with a hint of teasing, "Fake being your girlfriend. Yetian, don't tell me your unrequited love for Li Qingshui failed. So you want to use me as a shield to make her jealous. I gave a bitter smile. If I had feelings for her, then back when she confessed to me, wouldn't it have been better to just say yes? Why would I need to pull a stunt like this? The exact situation can't be explained in just a word or two, but I really need your help. Back in high school, Li Qingshui once confessed to me, and I bluntly rejected her, making her leave in anger. Only then did I discover Cheng Lu standing right behind a tree. I had already prepared myself to be rejected, and began calculating a backup plan. Unexpectedly, she agreed right away. Sure, why not? I'll come pick you up, okay? Okay? I'll be downstairs at your place in 10 minutes. From afar, I already saw a slender figure standing by the roadside. She was even more beautiful than in my memory, wearing no makeup yet looking utterly elegant and ethereal. She opened the car door and sat in the passenger seat, bringing with her a faint, pleasant fragrance. Can you talk now? What's going on? I didn't hide anything anymore, and told her straight up about Feng Hao running away. Li Van Dot is someone who cares about face more than anything. He definitely won't cancel the wedding. So you think they will force you to be the backup groom? It sounds a bit like a soap opera, but with the Li family, nothing is impossible. It's not just possible, it's a certainty. That's why I need your help. Only when I'm already taken will they be unable to use guilt tripping to force me. Before I agree, I have one question. I sat up straight and proper. No matter what condition you give, as long as I can do it, I will agree. Are you currently officially dating any girlfriend? She looked straight into my eyes, deeply affectionate and serious. I immediately raised my hand in a swearing gesture. Absolutely not. Since the day I was born, I've been single and pure. Then all right, from now on, I am your girlfriend. I instantly let out a sigh of relief. I said gratefully, awesome classmate Chung, your great favor is beyond words. My eyes swept over, noticing the sweater she was wearing was from last year, and her handbag wasn't any brand name I recognized. I turned the steering wheel, heading toward the highway entrance. The hotel isn't in this direction. I looked straight ahead. There's still enough time to buy you a few decent outfits. Chung Lu grew up in a single-parent family. Her mom worked in the kitchen of an elementary school. She is still a senior in college, and her budget has never been very loose. Wearing this outfit to a Hongmen banquet, I'm afraid she will be looked down upon by them. If we're putting on a show, we might as well go all out. Then thank you, boyfriend. My heart fluttered, but now is not the time. I forced myself to calm down. On one hand, I controlled the steering wheel. On the other hand, my brain was racing fast to calculate the plan. In my past life, Fang Hao's dad, Fang Lei, was a well-known tycoon in Jiangqing. He himself had tens of millions of followers online, and even founded his own tech company, being dubbed the national husband. As for Li Qingshui, she was just an ordinary small-town girl, with a decent look. Her grades were terrible. She only scored just over 300 points on the college entrance exam, struggling hard just to get into a private junior college. But in her sophomore year of college, the famous Feng Hao suddenly pursued her passionately. Feng Hao already had a fiancé, so the two of them could only date in secret. This relationship dragged on for a full 3 years, until Li Qingshui got pregnant. The Fang family suddenly hit a financial crisis, so Feng Hao proposed to break off with her, to prepare for his wedding with his fiancé. That's exactly why the wedding was cancelled at the last minute, and I was forced to be the substitute. After that, my family was destroyed, and I became a vegetable. Even though Li Qingshui and I hadn't registered our marriage, in the eyes of outsiders, the child in her belly was my illegitimate child. It became my everything. This sounds absurd, but it was like she had superpowers. She actually pulled it off. Fortunately, my bro Anhu came to the hospital every day to visit me. Thanks to that, I could stay in the ward for another 2 years, until I heard Anhu recount that Li Qingshu passed away along with the child during childbirth, while Feng Hao successfully married his fiancée. Only then did everything click for me. From the very start, Feng Hao's target was me. I was a student at North City University, majoring in computer science, with deep research in artificial intelligence and distributed systems. In my sophomore year, I, along with 2 seniors from the lab, founded Rui New Technology. Right in that year, we successfully launched the first generation drone swarm control system, integrated on UAVs. As soon as it dropped, it became a dark horse in the industry, attracting top tech companies through tech acquisitions and strategic investments, bringing us a massive profit. Currently, our second generation system has entered the internal testing phase. 268, the data leaked from these few tests. The data from these few test runs was leaked, has already attracted many top drone manufacturers, with several entities having military industrial backgrounds, and investment organizations closely following to ask about cooperation. Among them, the most impatient one was precisely Feng Hao's Skyward Technology. The Fang family made their fortune through real estate, once being the richest in Jiangqing, but in recent years, the real estate industry has continuously hit a crisis. The Fang family was no exception, currently facing the risk of a broken capital chain. Right now, the only thing Supporting the Fang family was Skyward Technology. In my past life after I died, the company fell into Fang Hao's hands, becoming the launch pad that helped Skyward Technology soar, ultimately pulling the Fang group back from the brink of bankruptcy. This life, I will definitely make the Fang family pay a blood debt, with blood. An hour later, at the most high-end mall in Jiangcheng, I took Chenglu on a crazy shopping spree. Straight guys don't understand this stuff. So just picking the most expensive things means the chance of going wrong is very low. When she walked out of the fitting room, her whole body radiated an attractive glow, her aura being incredibly striking. Beautiful. Wrap them all up for me. Chenglu didn't reject it pretentiously, but only smiled at me generously. Thank you, boyfriend. That smile left me dazed like an absolute fool. When walking out of the mall, my hands were full of shopping bags. She naturally linked her arm through mine. The warm sensation transferred from my arm, and that faint, gentle fragrance made the tips of my ears flush hot involuntarily. Chenglu, do you have a boyfriend? The moment the words came out, I just wanted to slap my own mouth. Sure enough, she slightly tilted her face, held out 2 fingers, aimed precisely, and pinched the soft flesh on the inside of my arm, giving it a twist. If I already had a boyfriend, then what does what we're doing right now count as? It hurt so much that I quickly begged for mercy. I was wrong, it was a slip of the tongue. Lulu, spare my life. She gave a proud My eyes suddenly caught a flower shop by the roadside, and an idea popped into my head. Let's go buy a bouquet of flowers. Walking into the flower shop, I didn't understand the language of flowers, but I felt those blooming red roses suited her radiant look right now the best. I told the staff directly, please get me the most beautiful bouquet of red roses. Chenglu held the massive bouquet, and the annoyed look on her face finally vanished. She lowered her head to gently sniff the fragrance her profile, looking incredibly soft and beautiful. Looking at her, I felt possessed and reached out my hand, gently grasping her remaining free hand. Her hand froze for a split second but didn't pull back. Our 2 palms pressed together, their warmth blending. We held hands just like a real couple, walking toward the parking lot. After returning to the county, I took Chenglu home to drop off the clothes first, then went to the hospital alone. Yebin, who was lying on the hospital bed, roared the moment he saw me. Where on earth did you go? Your phone couldn't even be reached. Your Uncle Lee's side is burning with anxiety over there. I replied in a calm voice. Whatever it is, just lie down and rest, Dad. Your back is hurting, so stop worrying about useless things. I'll head to the hotel right away. Only then did he let me go. Go right now. There's only half an hour left, which was the time to hold the wedding ceremony printed on the invitation. On the way to pick up Chenglu, I turned on my main phone. Instantly, dozens of text messages and missed call notifications popped up frantically, mostly from Li Qingshui. Her tone shifted from worried to rushing, then to furious, as if she were demanding my life. The class group chat had also been in chaos since early on, with everyone gossiping about the wedding. A few rumors had already leaked out. After all, this county is only this big. Anhu also sent a few messages. Brother Tian Li Qingshui is looking for you everywhere. I called him back directly. I'm here, Brother Tian. I heard the groom, hearing him lower his voice. I quickly instructed. The groom ran away. When the Li family looks for a backup groom, lead the crowd to shout and push Liu Xuan'an forward. Liu Xuan'an was also our classmate back in school, and he was Li Qingshui's ultimate simp in my past life. He was the one who drove the car that crashed into me, turning me into a vegetable. But he didn't have a good ending either, dying right on the spot. And who on the other end gasped, what the hell, Brother Tian, are you for real? Liu Xuan'an is such a massive simp for real. In front of the Emperor Hotel, a red carpet stretched out long, with a brilliant flower arch, creating an incredibly lively atmosphere. When Chenglu and I appeared holding hands, we instantly drew quite a few looks. Chenglu was already striking to begin with, and with her makeup carefully done, she looked even more radiant. Everyone couldn't help but gasp in admiration, staring at our tightly interlocked hands. Yetian, Chenglu, are you two actually dating? That's right, we've been together since high school. Before, because of the long-distance relationship, we didn't make it public. Chenglu cooperatively showed a shy smile, leaning closer right next to me. Making it public like this doesn't mean good news is coming soon. After finishing the small talk, ensuring everyone knew I was taken, I went to give the wedding money and write my name in the registry, but I didn't see anyone from the Li family. When I walked toward the bridal lounge, sure enough, before I could even get close, I could hear Li Qingshui's choked sobbing echoing out from inside, along with the loud clattering sound of smashed furniture. The door was suddenly pulled open with force. Li Qingshu was wearing a luxurious wedding dress, her makeup incredibly exquisite, but it couldn't hide the panic and anger on her face. Lifting her head, she happened to see me and Chenglu. The expression on her face instantly froze, just like she was hit by a body-bind curse. Her voice became sharp and distorted. Ye Tian, you finally showed up. Who is she? Qingshui, congrats on your wedding. Let me introduce you. This is my girlfriend. Your girlfriend? Since when do you have a girlfriend? How come I didn't know about it? Yetian, today is my wedding. What's your point bringing a total stranger here, huh? My personal business doesn't seem to require reporting to you. Besides, do you really not recognize her? Chenglu used to be our high school's school beauty. Li Qingshu had countless times used a jealous tone to tell my dad that she was ruining the school's reputation. Recognize her? Well, I recognize her now. Right, where's the groom? When is the bride fetching? This sentence was like a sharp awl piercing through the facade of face that Li Qingshui was trying so hard to maintain. Right at this moment, her mom Zhang Liwan rushed over in a hurry. She had a plump figure, her face heavily made up, and although she was getting up there in age, she maintained her looks very well, still appearing quite glamorous just like in my past life. Her voice choked up as if she were about to cry. My child, it's bad. Feng Hao's phone still can't be reached. His assistant said it seems he has already gone abroad. But it was all bark and no bite. She secretly glanced over to observe my reaction. How ridiculous. Before, I actually didn't realize that this entire family was so good at acting. What, Mom? What should we do now? The ceremony is about to start. So many guests are waiting out there. Where am I supposed to hide my face? Zhang Lijuan was also freaking out like an ant on a hot pan. Her eyes locked onto me, just like grasping at a life-saving straw. Xiao Tian, you came at just the right time. Look at this Feng Hao kid, he's absolutely terrible. What do you think our Qingshui is supposed to do? Please lend a hand. Temporarily take his place for a bit. And finish up the ceremony. Okay. As she spoke, she was about to grab my arm, completely ignoring Chenglu, who was standing right beside me. I took a step back to avoid her touch, while simultaneously shielding Chenglu behind me. I said bluntly, Auntie Zhang, I'm an outsider to this matter, so how could I help? Everyone knows I already have a girlfriend. If I do it, no one will buy it. Losing face is still losing face. That's right now. Yetian is my boyfriend. Li Qingshu, you sure act proud, huh? Being a homewrecker and you still throw a whole ceremony. Li Qingshu watched the two of us bouncing off each other. Her eyes swept over Chenglu, looking at the over 70 million coat and the over 350 million handbag on her. The jealousy and rage in her eyes were almost erupting. She hissed, Yetian, you did this on purpose, didn't you? You already knew Feng Hao ghosted me. If you don't want to help, then fine. But bringing a woman here just to rub it in my face. Do you hate seeing me happy that much? Li Qingshui, aren't you thinking way too highly of yourself? The groom running away from your wedding is due to your own blindness. What the hell does it have to do with me? I suggest you don't flatter yourself so much. Just as Zhang Liwan was about to continue crying poverty and playing the victim, my phone rang. It was my mom calling. Xiaotian, how is it going? He's trying to pull out his IV drip to go to the hotel. I'm about to lose control of him. He said, even if he dies, he has to go help the Li family back them up. He's burning with anxiety. Through the phone, my dad's roars echoed loudly. I sneered in my heart, and the very last bits of affection for my dad vanished. Mom, give the phone to him. Ye Tian, you unfilial brat, listen up. Agree to this immediately for me. This matter of Auntie Zhang and Qingshui, you absolutely must help. Otherwise, I don't have a son like you. Dad, for the sake of someone else's daughter. You're actually forcing your own son to this extent, Dad, before waiting for him to roar any further. I dropped the final heavy bombshell. If you really feel that bad for Li Qingshui, Dad, why don't you just sign a divorce agreement with my mom and then go over there and marry her? Wouldn't that solve the problem? Both ends of the phone instantly fell dead silent, followed immediately by Yebin's violent gasping for air, sounding like a broken bellows. You rebellious son. A heavy thud resounded, followed by my mom's panicked voice. Honey, doctor. Where's the doctor? The call was abruptly cut off. I casually put my phone away, looking at the Li mother and daughter who couldn't believe their own eyes. Instead of wasting time, it looks like my dad won't be able to make it either. You guys better go find some other expert. Having said that, I didn't even bother to look at their colorful expressions. I took Chenglu's hand and turned around, walking straight out to the banquet hall outside. The wedding gift money already cost me 700,000, so I definitely had to eat to get my money's worth. Behind me, the desperate screeching cries of Li Qingshui and her mother rang out. Li Vandat at the front was just like a busy fly, running all over the place to explain things to everyone. But his face clearly showed awkwardness and a bitter smile. The hotel in this county was at most a 3-star standard, both small and not soundproof. Our argument just now must have been heard by all the guests. They also knew perfectly well what had happened. So was there really any need to keep putting on a show? Moreover, Anhu had long acted according to the plan, leaking the news that the groom had already run away. At this moment, the banquet hall was as chaotic as a busted market, with everyone watching the comedy show. Under his guidance and shouting, a crowd of drama-loving people, who only feared that things weren't big enough, pushed Liu Xuan'an to the front. Liu Xuan'an was less than 1.64 meters tall, with a sneaky cunning look and buck teeth to boot, looking truly ugly. No, not holding it is out of the question. If we do this, where am I supposed to put my face? He's nothing more than a small merchant running a supermarket in the county. Where on earth would he get that much face from? But Lee Van Dot couldn't take it anymore. I'm right here. Marry Ching Shui to me, and I'll provide 3.5 billion Vietnamese dong as a bride price. The thing Lee Van Dot lacked most right now was money. Looking at Liu Xuanan as if he were his own son, the mother and daughter, Li Qingshu could only swallow her pride, as she was forced to accept this son-in-law. A ridiculous welcome the groom drama was hastily put on under countless eyes, either filled with pity or sarcasm, or waiting to see a good show. I held Chung Lu and casually sat down at the banquet table. The money for the banquet was the bride price that Feng Hao provided, and the wedding wine was all top-tier Mao Tai. The dishes were also incredibly abundant. It would be a waste not to eat. During the wedding toast, Li Qingshui's face was deathly pale, dragged along by Liu Xuanan. She looked even more ridiculous than this fake wedding. Seeing me and Chung Lu, the malice in her eyes, made her almost want to crush the wine glass in her hand. Squeezing it so tightly she was trembling. I raised my glass, flashing a cold and meaningful smile at her. Just you wait, Li Qingshui. Your good days are still ahead. The banquet ended, and guests dispersed. It looked like it was about to snow. It was only 5 p.m., but the sky had already gone completely dark. The drama was fully enjoyed. Yet everyone still didn't want to stop. I drank a bit too much. As the wind blew, the alcohol rushed to my head even more. Are you okay? I shook my head. Handing the car keys to her, helped me drive back to the lakeside villa. Chung Lu took the keys. She drove very slowly but very steadily. I leaned against the passenger seat with my eyes closed, drunkenness and fatigue washing over me. Images from my past life and this life intertwined and surged in my mind. The scene of my parents' tragic deaths, the filthy insults beside the hospital bed, the cold beeping of the medical equipment, and the profile of the girl quietly driving in front of me. Those unyielding yet vulnerable eyes on that rainy night. Hatred intertwined with an unnamed desire. We're here. Chung Lu helped me out of the car and into the bedroom. After taking a hot shower and walking out, my head felt even more dizzy and I saw she was still there. You should just stay here tonight. There's a guest room. It's getting cold outside, so don't catch a cold. Under the influence of alcohol, the suppressed emotion suddenly burst out. I unexpectedly grabbed her wrist tightly. Her body stiffened up and she turned her head, panic flashing in her eyes. At first she resisted a little awkwardly, but quickly softened up against my intense advance. Early the next morning, I woke up, feeling incredibly refreshed. The spot next to me was already empty, but the warmth was still there. The sound of trickling water came from the bathroom. The wild images of last night rushed back into my mind, and a wave of guilt and self-loathing welled up inside me. To the absolute extreme, Chung Lu walked out from the bathroom, her hair still soaking wet. She was wearing my bathrobe, and underneath the baggy hem were her slender, fair legs. Seeing that I was awake, her cheeks instantly flushed red, her eyes shy and flustered. Both of us spoke at the same time, then went silent together. I'm sorry, if you agree, I will take responsibility. Ye Tian, you don't need to apologize. I was stunned. I did it willingly. That day, I thought I was going to be beaten to death, but then you appeared. You stopped him and even put your coat on me, taking me to the hospital. I took her hand, gathering all my courage. I've liked you since high school. Her face grew even redder, her voice as quiet as a mosquito buzz. A wave of warmth and an immense sense of security instantly enveloped me, dispelling all the gloom accumulated in my heart for so long. Outside, it was snowing. A perfect day for us to start a family. In the fridge, there were New Year foods my mom had prepared, along with vegetables and fresh ingredients. I personally whipped up a simple breakfast. Chung Lu stood beside me to lend a hand, a gentle smile playing on her lips. After eating, I drove Chung Lu home. Arriving downstairs at her place, she hesitated a bit, then softly said, "My mom probably knows by now. We drew so much attention at the wedding. Furthermore, I didn't come home last night." I instantly understood. I haven't prepared any gifts today. So on the 4th day of New Year, I'll come over to pay my respects to your mom. This is the custom in our area. The future son-in-law must visit his mother-in-law on the 4th day. Chung Lu blushed, nodded, then turned to walk upstairs. Watching her departing figure, I took a deep, deep breath. A new relationship meant new responsibilities. And it also gave me a solid backing when facing future schemes, giving me a reason why I absolutely must win. I went to the hospital again. Yesterday, my dad had just stopped breathing. But before the doctor could even perform emergency treatment, he woke right back up, and even scolded me for over 10 minutes with a voice full of energy. Right now, seeing me, his expression wasn't looking any better. Are you really dating Chung Lu? The kind of girl who hasn't been able to sit still since she was a kid? She specifically scams simps like you. Just a few days ago on the news, it said, some woman pulled a marriage scam, then forced the man to jump off a building. You won't be able to control her. Li Qingshui told you all this, right? Since you listened to her so much, why didn't you go bail her out yesterday? Instead, you almost fainted from anger, insisting on getting discharged no matter what. The next 2 days were New Year's Eve and the first day of the Lunar New Year. Ye Bin called Li Qingshui every single day, terrified that she would suffer mistreatment at the Liu family. Even though the wedding was a sham, just thinking about Liu Xuan'an's ugly appearance made him feel even more heartbroken for Li Qingshui. And then he would curse out Fang Hao for doing things poorly. I coldly stood by and watched without saying a word. On the second day of New Year, An Hu asked me out for a drink. Li Qingshu is a total idiot. She kept treating Liu Xuan'an like a chess piece. But as a result, yesterday before it even got dark, she was dragged into the lounge by Liu Xuan'an, and the raw rice was already cooked into rice. The Li family almost called the police. But after that, Liu Xuan'an's family sent over 3.5 billion Vietnamese dong as a bride price. So they let it go. Sure enough, no matter how deep your schemes and plots are, they are nothing compared to a lesson from a psycho. I wonder if Feng Hao finds out about this, what his reaction will be. Early morning, on the third day, I dressed up sharply, bringing along generous gifts, to officially visit Cheng Lu's mother. Cheng's mom was a very gentle person. Her husband passed away early and she raised Cheng Lu all by herself. I carried myself very properly, with an incredibly sincere attitude, always showing utmost respect for Cheng Lu in my words, along with our plans for the future. The atmosphere was extremely harmonious when it was time to leave. Cheng's mom already seemed to treat me as her future son-in-law. The relationship between me and Cheng Lu had completely stabilized, even though the path ahead was still fraught with dangers. At this moment, I truly felt happy and filled with the will to fight. This new year for the Li family was incredibly bleak and gloomy. A few years ago, Li Van Dat followed others into real estate speculation, holding over 10 apartments in his hands. The monthly bank loan payments were by no means small. With the current state of the housing market, even if he accepted a massive loss, he couldn't sell them off. The bride price from Liu Xuan'an was a mere drop in the bucket compared to that financial black hole. As for Feng Hao, he remained completely off the grid. Li Qingshu, wanting to squeeze more money out of the Liu family, could only grit her teeth and bear it. On the 8th day of the new year, An Hu and a few old classmates gathered at a pretty decent local restaurant. Cheng Lu was originally planning to come too, but she was suddenly called away by her mom to visit relatives. So she said she would arrive a bit late, 3 rounds of drinks in, and the atmosphere was getting super lively when the private room door was suddenly pushed open with force. Li Qingshu stood at the door with a face as cold as ice. The room instantly went dead silent. An Hu was the first to react, standing up and intentionally rubbing salt in the wound. Ah, Qingshui, in the middle of your passionate honeymoon, why aren't you with your husband instead of coming here? Li Qingshu didn't even spare him a glance. Yetian, let's talk. I set my wine glass down, glaring at her coldly. We have nothing to talk about. Li Qingshu let out a cold laugh. She raised her voice. Is it because you have a guilty conscience? Because you and Cheng Lu are basically just putting on an act? All just to get revenge on me, right? I knit my brows tightly. Li Qingshui, what absolute nonsense are you spouting? She swept her eyes over everyone present, her tone becoming agitated. Old classmates, everyone knows it, right? From childhood to adulthood, me and Ye Tian were childhood sweethearts. Why is it that right on my wedding day, he suddenly pulls a girlfriend out of nowhere? She stared at me with a venomous gaze. Ye Tian. I admit I used to bully Cheng Lu before, but that was just drama between kids. She was always jealous of me because her own behavior wasn't proper. I gave her a few lectures, and that's why she always held a grudge in her heart. Now she finally found an opportunity to get revenge. She's just a gold digger who is scamming you. The classmates looked at each other in bewilderment, their ears totally perking up to catch the tea. Anger surged within me, but I still forced myself to hold it back. Li Qingshu, drop your delusions right now. How things are between me and Cheng Lu has nothing to do with you. Furthermore, it wasn't just minor drama between you two. It was straight up bullying, so. Hearing me say that, she let out a bleak smile, her acting completely immersive. Yetian, given our feelings for so many years, can you really bear to watch me walk into my own death? Even if you can bear it, you shouldn't find a woman who only cares about revenge. She will ruin you. I showed pure disgust. Stop deflecting. I've known about your maliciousness for a long time, and you know it very well yourself. Stop putting on that victim face. You being a homewrecker in Jiangcheng is known by everyone. Getting dumped is exactly what you deserve, so who are you putting on a show for now? Is having Liu Xuan'an step up as a backup groom not enough for you? Why do you still want to drag me down with you? Why don't you look in the mirror? You can't even compare to a single strand of Cheng Lu's hair. Li Qingshu didn't expect me to be so ruthless. Facing the mocking gazes of everyone, her whole body swayed as if she were about to fall. Cheng Lu doesn't love you at all. She's only with you for your money. Right at that moment, a cold voice came from the door of the private room. Who says so? Cheng Lu had arrived without anyone noticing. She was standing outside the door, staring dead at Li Qingshui, the hatred in her eyes as sharp as a razor. Cheng Lu say it clearly in front of everyone, you being by Ye Tian's side. Isn't it just to get revenge on me? Just admit it, and I will apologize to you. I beg you to let Ye Tian go. Cheng Lu's body trembled violently. I rushed over, supporting and holding her. Don't be afraid. It's all over. You have me from now on. Chenglu took a deep breath, looking at Li Qingshui's face, then seeing my worried expression, she suddenly smiled. Even if that's true, so what? She took a step forward, staring straight at Li Qingshui, her voice clear yet icy. Li Qingshui, you're absolutely right. I do indeed hate you. I've hated you since middle school. When you let people corner and bully me in the rain. I hated you in high school for spreading malicious rumors, which almost forced me to drop out. Seeing your wedding turn into a total joke. Seeing the man you spent so much effort trying to possess. Not even bother to spare you a single glance. I find it incredibly satisfying. Being with Ye Tian just to spite you is just an extra bit of fun I reaped. Are you satisfied with this answer, eh? Her tone was so realistic, filled with hatred and pleasure, that even I had a moment of daze and heartache. Li Qingshui was just waiting for these words. Ye Tian, did you hear that? She admitted out of her own mouth that she doesn't love you at all. So what? It's enough that I love her? I've secretly loved you since high school. Don't talk about money. Even if you wanted my life, I would willingly give it to you. Is that enough? Are you satisfied? I took Chenglu's hand. Chenglu, are the words you just said true? Since you're asking that, does the answer even matter anymore? I placed my hands on her shoulders. It matters a lot. Look, we're only dating, and she's already broken down to this extent. Do you want to make her suffer even more? Marry me. She will suffer 10,000 times more. Do you dare? Ye Tian, you're crazy. Hearing this, Chenglu ran over and hugged me tightly, her eyes completely red, looking just like a 3-year-old kid. Ye Tian, what on earth did you do that day? She already admitted that she's using you to get revenge on me. I nodded. I like it that way. Not only will I marry her, but I'll also hand all my money over to her in the future. I'll pamper her like a princess, so what about it? Chenglu suddenly burst into laughter, tears rolling down the corners of her eyes, her hands holding me, trembling uncontrollably. I turned my head to glare coldly at Li Qingshui, my gaze as sharp as a knife. Li Qingshui, drop these games right now, always writing and acting in your own drama. Do you really think you're the main character? In my eyes, you're just a clown who doesn't understand human speech. I won't tolerate you anymore either. Having said that, I took Chenglu and left the private room, immediately leaving Li Qingshui behind with a deathly pale face, stepping outside and looking at the vast open field in front of us. Are you willing to go register our marriage with me? Not out of spite, and not to prove anything to anyone, just because we like each other, so we should be together fair and square. Do you agree? Chenglu was completely stunned, looking at me with wide, astonished eyes. She asked blankly, Ye Tian, are you serious? Isn't this a bit too fast? I know it's fast. I nodded. If you feel it's too rushed. Can we get engaged first? No need to wait. Let's do it right now. We managed to arrive just before the Civil Affairs Bureau closed to complete the marriage registration procedures. Holding the red marriage certificate in my hands, I took out my phone to snap a photo of the marriage registry, attaching a status line, distant mountains, rivers, and the smoke of human life. None of it is you, yet you are everywhere. To my wife Chenglu, please guide me for the rest of our lives. Orchids. My WeChat moment exploded once again. The next day I gave Anhu a call. Holy crap, brother Tian. You're truly my blood brother. You said you'd register and you just went right ahead. Absolutely cracked. Are you two okay? That day after I left, that psycho Li Qingshui didn't look for you guys to cause any more trouble, did she? The principal didn't scold you, did he? The whole world knows. Messing with Li Qingshui means messing with my dad. It's fine. Huzi, keep helping me. Keep an eye on the movements of the Li family and Liu Xuan'an. Don't worry, I'm still tracking them. That bastard Liu Xuan'an, I heard after the wedding with Li Qingshui, he calls himself the Li family's son-in-law every single day, going everywhere to brag and flex. He's also forcing Li Qingshui to go register their marriage with him. Li Qingshui refused. She wanted to go to Zhangcheng to find Fang Hao, but Fang Hao has already gone abroad. Some netizens spotted him, flirting with foreign girls overseas. In Li Vandat's hands, there are a total of 12 apartments, all developed by the Zhao family's corporation. Now they are all unfinished projects, right? I just feel like he was set up. Isn't it obvious he was set up after being rejected by me? Fang Hao did two things. One was pursuing Li Qingshui. The other was finding an acquaintance to trap Li Vandat with a price lower than the market rate, making him buy 12 apartments at once. That was 3 years ago, when the real estate industry had many fluctuations, but the Zhao family's corporation was still a prominent brand in Jiang province. Because the project was unfinished, Li Vandat is totally ruined. That's why in my past life, he used my dad's principal reputation to illegally raise funds, causing the deaths of my parents. The Li family is indeed detestable, but the real mastermind is the Fang family. In my past life, the Li family was also completely wiped out. As for the Fang family, as a well-known domestic enterprise, with my current capability, I don't have enough power to clash with them yet. But in my hands, I already have a sharp sword, and I will definitely doom them to eternal damnation. After handling the current work, I looked out towards the balcony. Chenglu was leaning against the railing reading a book. The gentle sunlight draped over her body, sketching a peaceful and beautiful scene. She seemed to sense my gaze, lifting her head to smile at me. Are you all done handling everything? Yeah. I walked over and gently hugged her from behind. Resting my chin on the top of her head, I smelled a faint, pure fragrance. Aren't you about to start your internship soon? Are you interested in coming to New TUI? Of course I want to. But my major is management, which doesn't seem to have much to do with the core technology of drones. 958. How about you become the CEO? How about you become the CEO? Neither I nor my two senior brothers have any ambition for that position. Hiring an outsider isn't as good as inviting you. She thought for a brief moment, her eyes lighting up. Okay, I'll listen to you. But I wonder how much President Ye plans to pay me. You can't let me work for free, you know. I burst out laughing. The position of the boss's wife is definitely yours. I took out a document and handed it to her. It was a prenuptial agreement, transferring ownership to Chung Lu. But when she saw the contents, she showed clear shock. Because this was a share transfer agreement. The 51% shares that I held in New TUI Technology would be transferred without compensation into her name. At the same time, the appendix also clearly stated that I had advanced my entire salary for the next 15 years. From now on at the company, each month I would only receive a salary of exactly 1 Vietnamese dong. Ye Tian, what are you doing, yo? Chung Lu's voice trembled. She originally studied business administration, so she understood it completely with just a glance. This was an official contract, with full legal validity. This thing is too valuable. I can't accept it. I didn't expect you to be such a simp. It really is a case of a hero failing to pass the beauty test. I laughed out loud. This is the bride price I have for you. Aren't you afraid I'll scam you? These shares are worth at least over $10 billion. I nodded. Are you looking down on me too much? Last year, several companies offered me $15 billion, but I believe you aren't someone with short-term vision, because in the future, it will be worth $50 billion. Are you crazy or am I crazy? I took her hand, my gaze incredibly firm and calm. Lulu, I trust you. I have already made a clear decision in the company's articles of association. If any mishap happens to me, all the share rights under my name will automatically transfer to the platform, holding the shares of New TUI's employees, to be enjoyed by the entire staff. You and my mom will enjoy priority rights to dividends, but the decision-making power belongs to the shareholding platform. In the past life after being murdered by them, the shares were snatched away by Li Qingshui and then fell into Fang Hao's hands, while the core personnel of the company were all driven away. The company is not only our sweat and blood, but it's also our dream. In this life, I absolutely won't let history repeat itself. Time passed quietly, but I knew very well that beneath the calm water were fierce undercurrents. Recently, Fang Hao started approaching Li Qingshui again. I was just waiting for him to make his final move. Before the Qingming festival, my dad suddenly came to the capital, and he even brought Li Qingshui along. What did you come here for? He remained silent and didn't say anything. I knit my brows. My dad looked a lot more haggard. His hair was more than half white compared to last time, making him look like he had aged 10 years. Qingshui needs to do an internship. Arrange for her to join your company. Just with her trashy community college degree, where she couldn't even finish a 2-year top-up bachelor's degree. She actually wants to enter my company. What am I supposed to be? A waste collection site. Do you really want this father of yours to kneel down and beg you? The airport was bustling with people coming and going. I certainly couldn't let him kneel, so I could only helplessly agree. You staying at my place is fine, Dad, but she can't. Arriving back at the house, my dad stayed in the living room. Chung Lu personally cooked 4 dishes and 1 soup. My dad threw out a few critical remarks, but they were all shut down by me. If you want to stay, then stay. If you don't like it, then go back. This is my house. Not a place for you to call the shots. In the end, the gathering ended in a tense atmosphere. The next day, Li Qingshui joined the company to start work. I booked a flight ticket for my dad that afternoon, and then personally saw him off at the airport, celebrating the 3-year anniversary of Launch 07. Our company dropped the news about launching a new product on the anniversary day, causing the press conference tickets to be completely wiped out in the blink of an eye. The atmosphere was incredibly hype. That day was Chung Lu's birthday. I invited most of the high-level executives of the company out for a meal, also gave gifts to the other employees, and even allowed them to leave work 2 hours early. Everyone cheered nonstop, and soon there wasn't a single soul left in the company. While we were having our meal, my phone rang with a notification. The surveillance system showed that someone had snuck into my office. The system asked me if I needed to call the police, but I hit the decline button. The press conference took place right on schedule, 3 days prior. Tiancong Technology also officially announced that they would launch 3 days later, simultaneously making a part of their product specs public. Compared to our company's new product specs, the similarity was as high as 80%. The venue was even located right next door to us. The media and the industry went into an uproar, everyone sensing the heavy smell of gunpowder between the two companies. Fang Hao is an internet celebrity with his built-in clout. He even made it onto the hot search list. causing their press conference to become insanely popular, even while it was just warming up. On the day of the press conference, Tiancong Technologies Hall was incredibly luxurious and flashy, extravagant, even featuring celebrities to boost its presence under the dazzling lights. Feng Hao stood on the stage full of smugness, demonstrating the Tiancong Eye system. The functions within the system interface were all identical to the universe system that we had announced, and some specs were even superior. Below the stage, the representative of the Venesi Investment Fund smiled, nodding repeatedly in satisfaction. Li Qingshe sat in the front row, dressed gorgeously while looking at Feng Hao, her eyes completely filled with admiration and anticipation. Meanwhile, the press conference of New Tui Technology looked like a solemn hall. There were no blinding light shows, only a rigorous atmosphere, and high-level executives from major corporations, along with representatives from core media outlets. When the large screen broadcasted the images of the universe system under extreme conditions, the anti-jamming test in a complex electromagnetic environment, identifying and locking onto moving targets with ultra-high precision, along with a simulated battlefield backdrop. When the shocking video of the autonomous drone swarm coordinating in combat was shown, the audience fell dead silent, followed immediately by an explosion of thunderous applause, mixed with sheer amazement. At the same time, we connected live to the field signal at a comprehensive test site in the west. A small drone swarm, equipped with the universe system, was flying in formation in a simulated environment of strong electromagnetic suppression under complex terrain conditions, perfectly executing reconnaissance jamming, precision strike, simulated bombing and retreat for the entire process, showing a performance that far exceeded any system of its kind currently at home or abroad. Tiancong actually dared to do a live test flight right on the spot, acting as if they were just taking a stroll. The difference in quality was crystal clear. Right when I finished the presentation, the other side had already fallen into absolute chaos. Their drone, after flying normally for 30 seconds, lost control and charged straight at Feng Hao, who was rambling on the podium. Even though the crash didn't cause him any injuries, his pathetic state of running away was caught by the media and the live stream on the spot, instantly nuking his image completely due to plagiarism. Well done, you plagiarized New Tui's universe. 1138. Bullcrap all of Tiancong's. Bullcrap all of Tiancong's. Products are independently researched and developed. There is absolutely no plagiarism. Furthermore, our product files were registered a month before theirs. Right at that moment, I appeared with a few staff members. Waiting for so long was precisely for this moment, to personally corner him to his death. I was so excited that my hands were shaking. Feng Hao, your company's Tiancong Eye. Why is it identical to an early test version, riddled with critical bugs that I registered long ago? The source code is shockingly identical. Even the famous algorithm loophole that cannot differentiate between a flock of birds and a drone is exactly the same. No matter how clueless Feng Hao was about technology, his face changed drastically upon hearing this. Yet he still tried to keep his composure. Yetian, you're slandering me. What does a similar source code even prove? Our registration was a month earlier than yours. I haven't even accused you of plagiarizing me yet. Idiom be shut. Saying this truly exposed him as a total layman. I shook my head and scoffed. Feng Hao, your so-called registration a month earlier. Which product line of ours are you talking about? Is it Universe 1.0 or 2.0? Today, we are launching version 2.0, which is indeed a month later than yours. But our version 1.0 was already registered 2 years ago. As for the full version for military drones, it was already handed over to the Ministry of Defense 3 months ago. The entire venue fell dead silent. All lenses immediately pointed at Feng Hao, whose face was now as pale as a sheet of paper. Everyone understood the weight of handing something over to the state. Did you think you were just stealing business secrets? No, what you stole is technology that has been classified as a national secret. Right as I finished speaking, all the entrances and exits of the Grand Hall burst open simultaneously. Groups of people with cold expressions marched in, carrying the majestic and imposing aura of national security officers. The leader directly flashed his badge, his sharp and powerful voice echoing throughout the chaotic hall. Feng Hao, we are from the National Security Agency. You are suspected of stealing secrets for a foreign organization. We are now officially applying criminal compulsory measures against you. Another group headed straight down toward the audience, where someone's face had completely lost all color. It was Li Qingshe, her whole body trembling. Li Qingshe, you are suspected of being involved in the same case. Please cooperate with the investigation. At the same time, the officer in charge turned toward the media outlets and sternly announced, Dear reporters, this case involves national secrets. We request everyone to strictly comply with the confidentiality law. All filmed content must undergo censorship and cannot be uploaded without authorization. Please cooperate with our work. Feng Hao was tightly sandwiched by 2 security officers. The moment the cold handcuffs locked onto his wrists, all his previous arrogance and haughtiness vanished into thin air. His legs turned to jelly and he almost collapsed to the ground. In a state of shock and extreme terror, Li Qingshui screamed, then suddenly clutched her stomach, doubling over with a painful expression on her face. Blood slowly trickled out from between her legs. She looked at me, reaching out her hand to beg, "Ye Tian, save me." I didn't even bother to give her a single glance. Two female officers quickly stepped forward to take her away. At the venue, the investment representatives of the Zhao family looked as pale as ghosts. They were all taken away. At the same time, Tiancong Technology was also locked down, and all staff members were restrained. The stock price of the provocative corporation instantly tanked. Upon hearing the news, Li Vandat planned to take the money and flee, just like in the past life. However, before he could even leave the residential area, he was caught by an who had been tracking him and called the cops. The dark clouds that once hovered over my head were blown away by a wild wind overnight. But I knew there was still one final knot that needed to be untied. I returned home. "Are you satisfied now, son?" If you had lent Qingshui a hand at the beginning, she wouldn't have gotten involved with the Liu family, and she wouldn't have died. I didn't even bother to talk nonsense with him, dropping a stack of documents onto the desk in front of him. "Take a look at this." He glanced over. It was a paternity test report. His pupils suddenly contracted. He abruptly snapped his head up to look at me. "What are you trying to do? All these years you preferred to treat me and mom like trash, just to show favoritism to Li Qingshui. Why is that?" I threw a few pre-printed chat logs right in front of his face. Those were precisely the conversations between him and Zhang Liuan, Li Qingshui's mother, where he referred to Li Qingshui as his daughter. It's truly laughable. On one hand, he believed that Li Qingshui was his daughter. Yet on the other hand, he forced me to be a backup groom for her, even if it was just fake. Didn't he feel disgusted in his own heart? But whatever for a person with early-stage Alzheimer's symptoms, there's nothing worth arguing about. Yebin remained silent. He didn't dare to open that report. I immediately opened the report myself and flipped to the final page. No biological relationship confirmed. He knocked it away and stood up clumsily. But because he was too agitated, he collapsed back down. "You faked it, Etienne, just to smear me. You actually dared to fake even this thing. Principal Yi, face reality. You are nothing but a clown, who was played like a fiddle by others. I don't care what kind of plot you and Li Vandat had. The fact that you betrayed my mother and betrayed this family is an absolute truth. Here is the divorce agreement between you and my mother. Sign it. If you don't, I will send these chat logs to the Bureau of Education and even plaster them all over every single street and alley to see whether Principal Yi here wants his reputation ruined in his old age or wants to cut ties with this rebellious son of his. Choose for yourself." Yebin looked at my cold expression, knowing there was no turning back in this matter. So he had no choice but to sign the divorce papers. He left almost empty-handed under his name. Only that faculty housing apartment remained. I didn't tell my mom the truth, just quietly handed the divorce papers to her. Mom didn't ask any further questions, let alone try to lecture me. With what my dad had been doing recently, instead of staying behind to act as a nanny for that old man, it was much better to come to the capital and be the mother of a badass CEO. Besides, the divorce policy changed over the last 2 years. Having an agreement means you can file a lawsuit directly. At the fastest, the procedures can be done on the exact same day. And after that, everything can be handled online. Meaning, they don't even need to face each other anymore. The very next day, Anhu sent a message over. He had investigated and finally cleared up the whole root of the matter regarding how my dad and Zhang Liuan had an affair. Li Vandat once had someone forge a certificate of infertility surely to trick my dad into believing that Li Qingshui was my dad's child. I don't know if he believed it or not, but to be led by the nose by others just because of this, I truly looked down on him, because anyone with eyes could see clearly that the facial features of Li Qingshui and Li Vandat were extremely similar. Saying she wasn't his biological daughter is truly unbelievable. A few days later, a piece of news that left me speechless arrived. My dad actually openly stayed together with Zhang Liuan. To reach this point, he really has completely lost all shame. I told Anne, who too leaked the fact that I had transferred the company's shares long ago under Cheng Lu's name, and that each month I only received a base salary of 1 Vietnamese dong, making sure Zhang Liuan knew. Along with that was a medical checkup report of my dad, especially the early onset symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, which I had circled with a red pen. As expected the next day, my dad discovered that his only asset, the 70 million in cash I gave him when he left, had been completely swept clean by Zhang Liuan. He was so angry that he suffered a stroke and became paralyzed on one side. I hired someone to send him to the county nursing home, buying the cheapest service package for the life. Ahead of me, I will live it my own way, and no one has a right to interfere anymore.